Good day. Today I'm going to do a Dismember discography ranking, and I think tomorrow is they will put up all their stuff on Spotify, if I understand it correctly. They have been absent for a very long time, but like to start out, I've discovered Dismember with a sampler Nuclear Blast 10 years anniversary collection. It was released in '97, but I found it maybe the year 2000 or something, and they had the track Dismembered on there, and I picked up Like An Everflowing stream shortly after, and that was one of my first death metal records CDs I ever bought. The band was formed in 1988, and they released 3 demos: Dismembered, Last Blasphemist, and Reborn in Blasphemy. All can be found on this the complete demos compilation, and they put a band on hold after the last demo, and instead Kärki, Blomqvist, and Estby joined Carnage and released Dark Recollections, but Carnage disbanded when Michael Amott joined Carcass, and Dismember was resurrected, and they released their debut full-length Like An Everflowing stream in 1991. And this is a Back on Black 2010 reissue, and this was recorded at Sunlight Studios, and Kärki, Blomqvist, Sennevek, Cabeza, and Estby were in the band. And my favorite tracks on this one are Override the Overture and Skin Her Alive. In '92 they released an EP called Pieces, 4-track EP, but this is not gonna be ranked. And afterwards they released Indecent and Obscene in 1993. It contains 9 tracks and is 35 minutes in length. The same lineup. This one sounds very similar to Like An Everflowing stream, but a little bit flatter production, not as massive sounding as Like An Everflowing stream. But my favorite tracks on this one are Skinfather, Reborn in Blasphemy, and Dreaming in Red. And in 1995 they released Massive Killing Capacity, and the year before, 2 years before, Entombed released Wolverine Blues, a lot slower, much more groovier than Left Hand Path and Clandestine, and Dismember went for that route also, but had a lot of melodic leads and solos, combining more of the Gothenburg sound with the Sunlight Studio heaviness. This contains no fast tracks at all. It's 11 tracks and 38 minutes in length, also recorded in Sunlight. And same lineup once more. And my favorite tracks on this one is On Frozen Fields and Life, Another Shape of Sorrow, the ending track. Great stuff. The 4th full-length released in 1997 is called Death Metal, and right from the get-go, Of Fire kicks in, and while keeping the melodic leads, it's faster than anything on Massive Killing Capacity. There are some slower tracks like Let the Napalm Rain, Stillborn Ways, and the Closer Mist Weaver. But it's 12 tracks, 40 minutes in length, also recorded in Sunlight Studios with the same lineup. And my favorites on this one are Misanthropic and Killing Compassion. And all these have been released through Nuclear Blast. And in the year 2000 they released Hate Campaign, and it's the same vein as death metal, but the songs are a little bit less memorable. But one thing that is very memorable is the breakdown in Questionable Ethics. I sometimes just replay that song over and over because that part is so top-notch heaviness. And for this release, Robert Zennebeck left the band and was replaced by Magnus Sahlgren. Rekard Cabeza, who lives in the US, was still in the band but did not play on this. Instead, Charlie D'Angelo from Arch Enemy and a bunch of other bands played the bass. This one contains 11 tracks. And it's 34 minutes. And this was not recorded at Sunlight, but a studio called Das Båt Studios, also in Stockholm. And the favorite tracks on this one are Questionable Ethics and In Death's Cold Embrace. And next they released Where Iron Crosses Grow. And it took 4 years between Hate Campaign and Where Iron Crosses Grow. And it's the longest between records so far. And Magnus Sahlgren left the band but was not replaced. So David Blomqvist did all the guitars and Cabeza was back for the recording this time. And this is a little bit cleaner, more powerful production than Hate Campaign. A little bit more memorable also. But it was released in 2004 through Carmageddon Media. 10 tracks, 38 minutes in length, and this was really recorded at Sami Studios, also in Stockholm. And the title track and Tragedy of the Faithful are my two favorite tracks from this one. And 2 years later, they released The God That Never Was. And Cabeza once again did not feature, but Martin Persson was added to the lineup as second guitarist, and he and David Blomqvist shared both the guitar and bass work. And The God That Never Was sounds like a throwback to the first two full lengths. It's less polished than Iron Cross, recorded at Sami Studios once again, and it's 11 tracks and 35 minutes in length, and it was released through Candlelight Records in USA, Regan Records in Europe. But this one is the only Russian I have, but this is an official from CD Maximum. The rest are original European releases. My favorite tracks on this one is Shadow of the Mutilated and Autopsy. Great stuff. Fred Esby left the band afterwards, being replaced by Thomas Down from Incision and Repugnant, and bass player Tobias Christiansson was added to the lineup, making the band a five-piece once again. And this one is simply called Dismember, or it has no name, self-titled, released in 2008 through Regained Records. It's 11 tracks, 43 minutes in length, and this was a new studio. It was recorded at Studio BAS. And my favorite tracks on this one is Death Conquers All and The Hills Have Eyes. And this lineup the band had was stable without releasing any more new material until 2011, when the band disbanded. But they have been brought back together, as many know, and they are doing some live shows, and hopefully they will release something new in the future. But to rank them, Eighth place, we have Massive Killing Capacity. This is a very, very good record, but it's slow. It plods on. It's very memorable, but it plods on. No tempo shifts at all. But this one is very, very good. So it's a very good eighth placed. And place number 7, we have Hate Campaign. As I said, it's not that memorable, but when you listen to it, it's very, very good. Massive Killing Capacity is more memorable, but this one is better when you actually, for the moment you're listening to it, because this is death metal the way it should be. And then we have Where Iron Crosses Grow. A very, very good CD. A little bit more memorable than Hate Campaign. But yeah, very good. And on place number 5, we have The God That Never Was. And this is an excellent record. But it's nothing to complain about. It's very, very, very good. Awesome stuff. But the others are simply slightly better. On 4th place, we have the self-titled latest, Dismember. I think this one is slightly better than The God Never Was today. But another day, tomorrow maybe, they will switch places. Actually, I have done this 10 times, and it always ends up with different places. But Dismember, 4th place. And number 3, we have death metal. I don't know what it is, but it's just I think this is probably the most vicious release, and that's always a good thing. So death metal comes on 3rd place. And 2nd place, we have Indecent and Obscene. It's very good. Like An Everflowing Stream was the first one I heard, so I'm a little bit biased towards that sound that they produced on that. And this, music-wise, they are equals, but the production is slightly better on Like An Everflowing Stream. That's why this one takes the 2nd place. And my favorite is the debut, like it's always is, almost. But this one, it was the first one I heard. This one I have been listening to at least 20 years. So it's and this is peak death metal. I think I featured it in my, but I'm sure I featured it in my top 10 death metal records of all time. So it was no big surprise that this one was my favorite from Dismember. But there we have it.